Afternoon, everybody. Silverbolt here, back for the Transformers review. Okay, question. What do you get if you take the most successful science fiction stories of all time and let Hasbro get their hands on them? You get things like this. To most people, this is instantly recognisable. This is the ARC-170 Old Republic Clone Fighter. Or to give its more popular name, the Asterix Wing. Okay, now, this range came about 2 years ago, roughly. About 2-3 years ago, this range first started appearing on our shelves. And it was Hasbro, having sat down and rejected the idea of making a new multi-million-dollar Transformers series with voice acting and computer animation and toy ranges and all the hubbubaloo that goes into making a new TV series. And they decided that we're going to mangle Star Wars. Now, Star Wars, anything Star Wars, has to go through Lucas, or rather, it has to go through Lucas's companies. So, all the toy ranges, all the video games, all the comics, all the magazines, all the books, all have to go through Lucas, which means that everything that comes out of them is considered to be canon. As in, it is a direct continuation of the films, or prequels to the films, or set in between the films, or whatever. Which does mean that, yes, George Lucas knew that Chewbacca was going to get killed off. Poor old R.I. Salvatore got death threats for that one. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Chewbacca gets killed off in the first book in a series called The New Jedi Order. Very good series, you should read them. It's set about 20 years after the destruction of the second Death Star, and it basically tells of the of how the New Republic and the Imperial way of life come together to form an actual proper alliance. Right then, as I said, because it all has to go through Lucas, they couldn't get away with making crappy-looking Star Wars toys. And in all fairness, they didn't. The alt modes, the ship modes, looked very, very nice in the entire range, and it's true all across the range. The whole range looks really nice in their vehicle modes. However, their robot modes are something different. The Star Wars range has got lots of very famous ships in there. It's got X-Wings, it's got a Millennium Falcon, it's got Jedi Starfighters, it's got Slave One, etc, etc, etc. And they basically transform into Star Wars characters. The X-Wing becomes Luke Skywalker. Though personally, seeing the level of involvement later that Luke has in an X-Wing, I would have thought it would be better to have an X-Wing turn into Wedge Antilles. But there we go. Okay, the Millennium Falcon, of course, becomes Han and Chewbacca. There is an Imperial shuttle that becomes Palpatine. Darth Vader gets in there with his TIE Fighter. Obi-Wan Kenobi gets in there with, what is it? A Jedi Starfighter, as does Anakin. Anakin Skywalker, not Anakin Solo. Now, once this had been done, once these had been hit on the shelves, every self-respecting Transformers fan and every self-respecting Star Wars fan loathed them. On principle, loathed them. For very good reason. They are smegging fugly. Severely. They are hideous. Especially the Millennium Falcon, Han and Chewbacca. They just look wrong. In so many ways. They just look wrong. They're vile. Which way are the legs supposed to go? It's been a while since I transformed and I can't actually remember. They really are, for the most part. Now, I bought the the ARC, as a novelty act, just to say that I've got one of them, just so I can have a look at them. And everybody I talked to online was all in agreement that, for the most part, the line was disgusting. The robot modes were pure hideousness. And for the most part, that is very, very true. They are. They're absolutely vile. The Millennium Falcon, for instance, Han and Chewbacca both have these organic, metallic looking faces. They're bright silver, like Metroplexes. And they look, I don't want to say wrong again, so I'll just settle for crap. This is it in robot mode. There we go. Now, the ARC, I don't think, doesn't look that bad. It could look a lot worse. So I don't think it looks that bad in itself. But I'm a huge X-Wing fan. Massive, massive X-Wing fan. Have been for years. Eventually want to get a tattoo of one on me. But I couldn't even bring myself to buy the X-Wing version of the toy. You know, it's not... Okay, now it's actually quite expensive, but back then it wasn't quite expensive, but I couldn't bring myself to buy it, because it looks hideous. And all the fighter ones, and Slave One, from the TIE Fighter to even the Emperor Palpatine, to the Slave One is one I was trying to think of, all have these huge rounded chests with these silly little arms and these silly little legs and this stupid head. And they just look wrong. And from what I can ascertain, the line pretty much bombed. And any Transformers fan that's not an 8-year-old kid that suddenly sees Transformers and Star Wars wrapped into one wouldn't touch them. Just wouldn't touch them. I think a lot of people did what I did, which was buy one as a novelty piece, and that was it. Refused to waste. I mean, the Millennium Falcon, it's still in Woolworths, it's still in Argos, it's still in... No, it's not in Argos anymore, sorry. Or is it? I can't remember now. But it's still in Woolworths, it's still in Toys R Us, it's still in The Entertainer, and nobody wants it. It's not the fact that they're selling dozens of them and just keep getting them in, it's the fact that nobody's buying them. Because they hate them. You can pick these up on eBay, but their prices are going up, but they're still relatively easy to find. But unless you are a die-hard Transformers fan and a die-hard Star Wars fan that has to have absolutely everything possibly connected, right down to your socks, Transformers or Star Wars, I wouldn't bother with them. I really wouldn't. Because they're horrible. They're fugly. Beyond belief, they're fugly. And they are so obviously just a Hasbro money-making idea. That's all they are. They are simply there to get Hasbro to make money. They couldn't even give... They gave them the names from the films, sorry. But there's nothing to them. It's just a toy. And it's purely there to make money. It's just a money-making idea. To keep filling Hasbro's pockets till the new movie came out. But anyway, that's my opinion of them anyway. Yes. One thing about them as well I'll say is they're quite crappily put together. Put it this way, right? There you go. Look at that. See how I've just pulled it off? It's a pop rivet. Right, it's a pop rivet that is holding in place a slide joint. So as soon as you pull it out, the pop rivet pops out with it. I mean, luckily it just snaps back into place. But yeah, really not impressed with the range at all. Not impressed at all. I would honestly say, unless you're stupidly rich or stupidly bored or have every other Transformer under the sun except for these, I'd save you money. Really would suggest saving your money. Alright, but for now, this is Silverbolt with the Asterix wing, signing off, saying au revoir, adios, auf Wiedersehen.